Hi, welcome to the guitar department. Welcome back to the guitar department, and I am sitting here with my guest, Mr. Bob Pace. Bob, thank you for being here.
Thank you, sir.
It's nice to meet you finally.
Nice to meet you too.
You've been on my list of people to contact for this show for a very long time. Dare I say, a Des Moines legend in Bob Pace, Iowa Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, Iowa Blues Hall of Famer, and all sort of accolades along the way. We have a lot to talk about.
Yeah.
I want to start with this guitar.
First of all, this legend thing, it just means that you got to a certain age and you're still playing.
Well, a certain level of accomplishment.
Maybe that.
And still playing.
Yeah. So the guitar is kind of a mutt. I'm told that the man that made this was in Nashville, and he's made early guitars for Brad Paisley.
Okay.
And it's an all-parts neck, and I believe it's a war mouth or all-parts body.
Okay.
And I guess it was baked or something, however they do that. And it was already relic, but I put a lot of dings on it myself over the years because I play kind of hard sometimes.
Sure.
And it's got some little tricks to it that are fun. One is I got an out-of-phase switch here with that third knob. And also I got a little trick here that I like to do with pedals is I put a distortion in here. A buddy of mine, Pat Nichols, did that.
So it's like a passive distortion?
Now it doesn't sound great by itself, but you put that and marry it with a nice pedal, like
Sure.
a warm tube screamer type thing, and put that on there. That really helps, just gives it a boost for solos. So I use that quite a bit. Other than that, the pickups are actually from a website called Guitar Fetish.
Okay.
And they're cheap pickups. And I've had Joe Bardens in this and Seymour Duncans and everything. This guitar doesn't respond to them well, but these cheap-ass pickups here are the ones that seem to really do it.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's got a lot of bite to it. And I just like it. The neck is like a roasted type of a neck. It's been through the wars a little bit with me. One time I tried to make a pull string device here, so I drilled a couple holes up here.
Yeah, I saw that. I thought it was missing the undersaddles.
I had the strap attached up here with a fish hook or something, and I drilled it through there. When I pushed down on the strap, it would bend the note.
Gotcha.
So
Okay.
that was an experiment many years ago.
Yeah.
It's just a workhorse guitar. Usually stays in tune pretty good, and I think I've dropped it a few times over the years and it didn't even go out of tune. So
Nice.
Yeah.
I was going to say, you said it was relic when you got it. It looks like it's had some
pretty
mileage
much.
on it.
It didn't have quite all this on it, but some of it. Yeah.
Well, that's pretty cool. And then you're playing through a quilter here, the Micro Pro.
Yeah, they call it like a class, I think, D technology. Pat Quilter invented this. He also did something with Boeing. I believe he made aircraft parts or something. Quite the genius. But it sounds a lot like my old Blackface Deluxe. Not exact, but enough for me to not have to lug that out of the house all the time. This is only 22 pounds.
Yeah.
And it's 100 watts with an 8-inch speaker. I think it's a tweeter in it. And then you marry that with a cabinet with a 12 in it. It goes to 200 watts, which will hurt anybody in any room.
Yeah, no, that's plenty of sound. So you actually gig with this?
I gig with this one, and I use the input here as my PA. That's a microphone input.
Yeah.
And it's very simple and it sounds really good. And I use a acoustic Fishman, I think it's the Artist, and I run those in tandem.
Okay.
So when I'm playing electric guitar, I can get some acoustic kind of sounds from the Fishman.
Sure.
And then I put this up with a little bit of distortion into the Quilter. It just has a nice big, stereo room sound. Fills the room up nicely.
That's awesome. I'm always fascinated by the different rigs people come in with because obviously we're a small venue here, but it's from an era when you would think you would need these big Marshall stacks, and everybody's going smaller, and there really isn't any sacrifice for sound. It just sounds amazing. So
the modeling amps these days, I mean, I'm all for tube amps. Don't get me wrong. And I love them.
You got one right here?
Yeah, that's a great one. An EC30, AC15.
AC15.
Yeah.
30's a bit big for what we got here.
I gotcha. But for most rooms, I've played some pretty good sized rooms with just this as a PA and as my amp. It's worked out really well. Fishmans are really great that way too. You can use that as a PA and a amp for your acoustic. I've used one for years, and that was all I carried. The older I get, the less weight I want to carry. That's only 22 pounds.
Yeah.
So it's a win-win.
22 pounds and a great package at that. So,
there you go.
Speaking of playing different rooms, you guys, the Bob Pace and the Dangerous Band, you've been around for like 15 years now, you said?
Yeah, 15, 20.
15, 20 years. You lose count after a while. And you've been around much longer than that. You were famously the house band at the Blues on Grand back in the day. It was a Friday work release party?
It's Friday work release party. I did that for, I want to say, about maybe 8 or 9 years. Before that, I was always there on a Tuesday or a Thursday with the band. So right around 30 years I've been there under 3 or 4 different owners.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course we tragically lost
Jeff Wagner.
The Gas Lamp, which was formerly the Blues on Grand,
Yeah.
and before that it was just the Grand, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe that's right.
And so now you've shopped around a little bit and you guys have landed at the Greenwood Lounge, is that correct?
Yeah. It's a nice intimate venue. It doesn't hold a lot of people, but it holds enough. And I like being where people are right in front of me because I get the feedback from people that way. If they're digging something, I can see it in their face. It's just kind of a nice, so they call it the oldest dive bar in Des Moines, I think. It just has its own je ne sais quoi.
Yeah.
It really does. A lot of great people play there. I'm privileged to be able to play there. I do a Monday night show there from about 8:30 to about 11. Solo show, just doing this kind of thing.
Sure.
And then I do the work release 5 to 8 on Fridays. And that's with Ben Williams Jr. and Hall of Famer, double Hall of Famer, Greg Sutherland.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's every Friday, you said, from 5 to 8?
Yeah.
Excellent. So make sure you guys head out to the Greenwood every Friday from 5 to 8. Check out Bob Pace and the Dangerous Band and the work release party. Now, is that the Dangerous Band? Is that what makes up the Dangerous Band?
It is.
Those two individuals?
Once in a while, Greg's a very busy man. He's a family man. He has kids he likes to go see out of state. So whenever I can't get Greg, I'm fortunate to get Todd Mason on bass guitar and vocals.
Okay.
And Todd's like a 4th member of the band. I call him, say, Todd, I need help. He says, I'll be there. So he's been a godsend as far as helping out. And he knows the repertoire of the band, which, if I say so myself, is pretty extensive.
Yeah.
We know a lot of tunes. And he knows most of them now by heart, so it makes it easy for him to come in and help us transition whenever Greg's out of town.
And speaking of your repertoire, like you said, it is extensive. It's wide-ranging in a couple ways. I want to talk about your influences. What were you listening to? So in your bio, it says you started playing at 10. You took it more seriously starting at 14.
Yeah.
And then it just says fast forward 30 years and you're in the Hall of Fame, 2-time Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the Gap. What were you listening to? What formed your playing?
Duane Allman, B.B. King, Jimi Hendrix. Of course, the first one was the Beatles. You know, once you saw them on Ed Sullivan, I wanted to be a drummer. But I also took up guitar about a year or two later. My mom got me a Kmart classical guitar.
Nice.
I think it was all like $30.
Yeah.
It was a horrible guitar.
Yep.
But I learned a few cowboy chords on it.
Sure.
And then about that same time, I believe that was around 70 or so, I saw Grand Funk Railroad with White Lightning down at Vet's then Auditorium. Right? And overnight, started growing my hair long, right? Doing things I shouldn't be doing and practicing my butt off. Right, to be the rock and roll guy. I wanted to be Mark Farner when I grew up.
Sure.
Right, so I chased that along for a long time. And Mark Farner had a lot of blues in his playing, so that kind of came along with the B.B. King and the Jimmy and Stevie Ray a little bit later on. Huge influence with Stevie.
Yeah.
You can't play a show without doing some Stevie licks if you're into blues.
Yeah, that's true.
I dare you to try. It doesn't work too well.
Well, most Stevie licks are actually licks from other people that he's just
absolutely.
He's playing better than they did.
He's the first person to say Albert King was his guru and his mentor.
Right.
And Albert Collins, all Magic Slim, Guitar Slim, all the greats. I mean, Stevie had deep roots.
Yeah.
And because of that, I think that gave his playing a lot of soul, a lot of feeling.
Yeah, and the intensity he played with.
Yeah.
He gripped his guitar and he
played like it was his last
notes,
day on Earth. So I mean, huge influence.
Yeah, thank goodness for that, right?
Yeah. In fact, what's funny, I was playing in a country band at that time, 7 days a week, out on Broadway. I think it was called the Sagebrush or the Plantation. But I was so influenced by Stevie. We'd be doing stuff like Hank Williams or whoever the Merle Haggard or Waylon the Willie. I'd be doing Stevie Ray licks on there, so the band really got on my butt about that sometimes. But that's how you learn and have things sink in as you play it on stage.
Yeah.
So we're doing You're Cheating Hard, and I'm going, right? And a couple of guys in the band took a little bit of umbrage to it, and you grow out of it quickly and incorporate it when it's appropriate.
Sure.
You know, country blues maybe or something.
I'm gonna say there's room for blues and country if you do it right. But.
Yeah. But yeah, Stevie, Jimmy, Dwayne Allman, guys like that, B.B. King, of course. The list is endless of who I listened to. I listened to jazz players that I really enjoyed. Some obscure people. Who was that one guy? Buddy Fight. He was a lumberjack from Oregon, and he did about 3 or 4 albums, and just an amazing player. He was a thumb picker,
sure,
but his chord knowledge was second to none. And you know, Tal Farlow, Lenny Bro, that's where you get the harmonic thing, that kind of thing, real pretty stuff.
Yeah.
So just a lot of different influences from different sources. Yeah.
Part of the reason I ask is that you are a really creative guitar player. For one, you're wearing an adjustable thumb pick, which you don't see very often. Is that metal also?
I don't think so.
Okay.
A buddy of mine named Eddie Lee Lindell, a guitar player, good guitar player, turned me on. I think they're Black Mountain is the name of the company.
Okay.
And they have a spring like that over the pick, so you can, you know, or you can flat pick it. And you don't drop it easily because it's on your fan. And the spring you can kind of adjust a little bit by bending it in and out a little bit.
And that's always been
get it where you want it.
My problem with thumb picks. I keep, when I teach at Remans, I keep a thumb pick in my room because eventually a student who's played long enough will be like, I keep dropping my pick. Maybe I should get a thumb pick, and I pull it out to show them that they don't want one.
Right.
Because they are static. They're stuck in that position. You can't really adjust the finger. That sounds like they've sort of come up with a solution for that.
Yeah, I think it's a really good one. They don't wear out very quickly. I've had this about maybe 6-7 months. I got 2 of these at home.
Okay.
They come in different gauges. So, yeah, I like them a lot.
You did something else just there too, and I noticed this when you walked in. You, on your right hand, you have a ring on your pinky.
No, I don't.
No ring on the pinky.
Where? That thing?
Never reveal your secrets, everybody.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you can show the camera that ring real quick. So immediately I thought to myself, he's going to use that as a slide. And then you just sort of did it right there. Can you give us a demonstration of what you actually do with the right hand pinky ring slide?
What I found was if you wear it like this and you hit a note, let's say you do this little lick, right? Instead of having to bend that, you could do this.
Yeah.
And you can arpeggiate easy. Here's an A minor kind of a thing. And you could do kind of like quasi sitar effects, and I don't even know what to call this. I guess some kind of tremolo
a little bit of
thing,
a trill, yeah.
Right? With distortion, that could kind of come out kind of cool. Kind of Indian, East Indian kind of effects.
It's the type of thing you'd listen to wondering how they're making that sound.
So I've tried to incorporate that into my playing a lot. You could do really cool rolls with it. I've done 2 years on this thing, so it's taken a while. So I get it to go better and better. So for metal players, they could probably get a lot of mileage out of something like that.
Yeah.
And for blues, it's very expressive. You know, I could just do a simple. And for chords, it's nice.
Yeah.
And sometimes you can just imply or almost hint at the chord that you're playing.
It almost sounds like a B bender.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Right. I use that quite a bit. So I use that quite a bit, and last year or so I started getting more into playing with the thumb, because I like the control it gives me and the snap it gives me.
Instead of the thumb pick, you mean?
Yeah.
Okay.
I just find I have more control over the guitar that way if I'm playing anything. Plus I like that snap.
Yeah.
And I find that I'm cleaner. I can flat pick okay, but I like that snap. Your note has a little more weight behind it.
Yeah.
You know, if you're really popping one, you hear the meat. It's not accurate all the time, but when it's good, it really, people get the message.
That's something that I think is underused in rock music, actually, especially the more modern you get. When I think about the last, maybe not the last, but Eddie Van Halen actually was probably the main shredder who used that technique quite a bit. You'd hear little pops. And yeah, exactly. Things that you can tell are sort of finger picked and popped, and they have that sort of country tone. Some of his solos have it too.
Yeah.
But it's not something you expect out of him. It's something you expect out of Brad Paisley or an accomplished country player.
Yeah, I'm not doing anything that country players don't do all the time. Right. But I find for blues, you can hit a note really softly, and then, like I really mean that note. I'm gonna, and then gentle. Right.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's fun.
So in preparation for this interview, you sent me a bunch of videos that people have taken of you or that you've had taken of yourself. In one of them, it opens with you playing left-handed.
Right.
And for a moment I thought to myself, is the video flipped, or is he playing the guitar left-handed? Are you actually left-handed? And then as I'm thinking that, you flip the guitar back to the right hand and start playing again. Right. Which is not easy.
No, at one time I could do it fairly well, but it's something you have to keep up on. If I did it today, I'd be embarrassed. But the idea basically is you're flipping it over like that, and you're basically just doing some hammer-ons. Maybe a couple of chords if you're lucky, maybe a couple little that kind of a thing. Then bring it back over. And
it sort of speaks to the showmanship, though, that comes with your shows and the philosophy behind that. Can you talk about that for a second?
I've always wanted to be more of an entertainer, or as much of an entertainer as a musician. Musicians can reach you on one level. Hope that sounds right. Hope that comes out okay. But an entertainer you can be a musician and an entertainer, and you reach people on another level, because you're not only playing soulful stuff, maybe from the heart, or flashy, or whatever your style is, but if you put in a few licks and tricks, you get their attention. It's like doing this.
Yeah,
rolling them in, right? And then you got them. You know. So I've always tried to do a lot of that, and I've been accused of being a show-off, and that's okay. I've worked hard to be a good show-off, and do it well. And the usual standard tricks, playing with your teeth, which I used to do. I used to do a thing at the end of shows. If my strings were getting a little bit old, I would just rip them all off and hand them out to people as a souvenir. Nice. I did that once about 1.5 years ago, and the string, which was already dirty, caught right here. My hand swelled up like a balloon, so I don't do that anymore. Kids, do not do that. It's not worth it.
That's true.
Trip to the doctor for that sucker. So the usual hammer-on. The usual kind of stuff. Distortion sounds better.
Sure.
And behind the back, I used to do just all the stuff that would capture somebody's attention, so that when you want to play something really soulful, you've got their attention and you can really testify. And then if you start to lose them, then you better put in another trick or two and do something, whatever it is.
People start talking instead of listening.
Right, So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, we're not out of things to talk about, but we are out of time. So
okay.
we're going to have to stop it there. Would you stick around and play a song for us?
Happy
Maybe
to.
jam out a little bit?
Absolutely.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
you
you,
for
sir.
being here.
Much appreciated.
Bob Pace, everyone.
Much like living, baby, if you're not in my heart. It's a hard life we've been living. Tell me, why are we apart? 'Cause every time I touch you, baby, I can feel the fire within. It burns my lips and my fingertips, and I'm lost in you again. There's a star show on the hillside. Come and join me, I got room. Your love is all I'm living for, and I'm howling at the moon. And I'm playing just for you, maybe drunk and out of tune. But no one should be this damn lonely and howling at the moon. Howling at the moon. Well, you say I ain't got a soul. Maybe you know that's not true. Deep down here I got a big black hole where I keep my howling blues. And there's a star show on the hillside. Come and join me, I got room. Your love is all I'm living for, and I'm howling at the moon. And I'm playing just for you, maybe drunk and out of tune. But no one should be this damn lonely and howling at the moon. Howling at the moon. Baby, I'm howling at the moon.
Thank you for tuning into the Guitar Department. I've been your host, Joe Alton. I want to thank Des Moines legend Bob Pace here.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much for being here.
Hope to come back again.
Oh, absolutely. I'll have you back anytime.
All right.
How can people follow where you and the Dangerous Band are playing?
Basically just Facebook for the most part. I don't really keep up on socials that much. I'm kind of a dinosaur that way.
Is it?
But I put my schedule on Facebook quite often.
Is there a Dangerous Band page, or is it just send you a friend request?
Just the Facebook thing. Yeah, be my friend on Facebook. I'll probably message you at 3 in the morning because I don't sleep much.
Yeah. Well, thank you for being a friend.
Appreciate it, man.
So be sure to friend request Bob Pace on Facebook, and I want to thank our camera person Matthew, our producer Jackson Miller, and I want to thank Riemann Music for showing off this beautiful blue sort of sea-burst guitar that we've got here from Ibanez. Absolutely gorgeous. Be sure to follow us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Guitar Department and Instagram at @guitar_department. And with that, would you mind playing us out?
No, it'd be my pleasure.
All right.